His name was Daniel Harper. He was 54, with graying hair, careful eyes, and hands rough from years of work. Once, he had been a husband, a father, a homeowner, and a respected electrician in Dayton, Ohio. Now, he slept curled up in the driver's seat of a car that barely started, careful not to draw attention. He woke before sunrise, folded his blanket neatly, and wiped condensation off the windows so no one would guess someone had slept there. Daniel didn't look homeless in the way people expected. He shaved every morning using water bottles. His clothes were clean, though worn. During the day, he worked odd jobs, fixing outlets, repairing fences, helping elderly neighbors who paid him in cash or food. He never begged. He never asked for help. Silence was his survival. The fall had been quick and brutal. 3 years earlier, Daniel's wife, Melissa, died after a sudden illness. Medical bills piled up. Grief swallowed him. He missed work, then lost contracts. One mistake led to another, and before he realized it, the house was gone. His daughter, Emily, already married and living across the country, believed her father had moved in with friends. Daniel didn't correct her. Pride can be heavier than hunger. The car became his last shelter. And the trunk, locked, dented, and never opened in public, held everything he owned that still mattered. For months, the police noticed the car but left it alone. Until one cold December night, a store manager complained. "That car's been there forever," he said. "I think someone's living in it." 2 officers approached the vehicle just after midnight. Daniel was awake. He always was. His heart pounded as red and blue lights washed over the windshield. He stepped out calmly, hands visible, voice steady. "Evening, officers." They asked for his ID. He gave it. They asked where he was staying. He hesitated, then told the truth. "In my car." There was no anger in their faces, only routine caution. They asked if they could search the vehicle. Daniel nodded. He had nothing illegal. Nothing dangerous. Then one officer gestured toward the back. "Mind opening the trunk?" Daniel froze. For a moment, the parking lot felt unbearably quiet. His hands shook as he reached for the keys. That trunk wasn't just storage. It was memory. It was pain. It was the last place where his past still existed. When the trunk opened, both officers stopped breathing. Inside were neatly stacked plastic bins. On top sat a small, dust-covered pink backpack. Beside it, a violin case wrapped carefully in a blanket. There were photo albums, dozens of them, labeled by year. Handwritten letters tied with ribbon. A folded American flag. Tools, polished and organized like a workshop that refused to die. One officer picked up a photo album without thinking. It fell open to a picture of a smiling little girl on a swing, Daniel pushing her, both laughing. "That's my daughter," Daniel said quietly. "Emily." The violin case belonged to Melissa. She used to play every Sunday morning. Daniel hadn't heard music since the day she passed, but he kept the violin tuned anyway. The letters were notes his wife had written during her illness, meant for Daniel to read on the hard days. The flag belonged to his father, a Vietnam veteran. And the backpack, empty now, had once belonged to Emily, back when she believed her dad could fix anything. The officers closed the album slowly. Their voices softened. "You've been living like this the whole time?" one asked. Daniel nodded. Didn't want to bother anyone. Something shifted that night. The officers didn't write a ticket. They didn't ask him to move along. Instead, they called a supervisor. Then a social worker. Then a local veterans outreach group after learning about Daniel's father. Word spread faster than Daniel could process. Within days, a temporary shelter offered him a private room. A church donated winter clothes. A small electrical company, hearing his story, offered him steady work. And one officer, Officer Ramirez, helped Daniel make the hardest call of all. Emily answered on the second ring. "Dad?" Daniel's voice broke for the first time in years. He told her everything. She flew in the next week. When Emily hugged her father outside the shelter, she cried into his jacket like she was 12 again. Daniel cried too. Some pain only heals when it's finally seen. Months later, Daniel moved into a modest apartment. He hung the flag carefully on the wall. The photo album stayed on a shelf, no longer hidden. On Sundays, music returned to his life, Emily playing the violin her mother loved, filling the room with sound instead of silence. The car was sold. But Daniel kept the trunk key. Not because he needed it, but because it reminded him that even when life strips everything away, dignity, love, and memory can survive in the darkest places. If this story moved you, please like and subscribe.